how many workshops does Tails actually have in the Sonic series? Tails' workshop is something that appears pretty frequently in almost all Sonic media, yet each time it appears, it seems to be a different workshop in a different location. Sometimes it's more of a house that Tails uses, and other times it's just a hangar for the tornado to sit in. But in this video, I'm going to go over every single appearance of Tails' workshop in the Sonic series, not just in the games, but also in the movies, TV shows, and comics too. Because if there's one burning question that's always on the Sonic community's mind, it's definitely not what's the best Sonic game, or did Sonic actually have a rough transition into 3D? It is, of course, how many workshops does Tails actually have? So let's jump right into the first appearance of Tails' workshop, going in chronological order. The very first time Tails' workshop is ever seen is actually in his own standalone game, Tails Adventure. This game came out in 1995 on the Game Gear, and it features the first appearance of Tails' many workshops. In Tails Adventure, this workshop is actually just titled Tails House rather than Workshop, but it still houses his workshop as well. This workshop is located on Coco Island, which is where the game takes place, and is where the player can actually do various different things like equipping items, equipping things to the Sea Fox, and continuing the game. Tails' house is a very standard looking house, just looking like a log cabin, but it also served as his living place for a time before he met Sonic. There isn't really too much more to go into here, since this workshop is mainly just a headquarters for Tails during his adventure, so let's move on to the next appearance of his workshop in Sonic the Fighters. Sonic the Fighters features the second appearance of Tails' workshop, but only for a very brief few seconds this time around. When the player collects all 8 Chaos Emeralds, yes, all 8, they are able to access the Death Egg 2, which houses the last 2 stages of the game. But in order to get there, Tails builds a rocket called the Lunar Fox. This rocket is stored in one of Tails' workshops, which features a large hangar to store it in, with a logo on the door of his signature Tails. The only time this shows up is when the rocket takes off in-game, so it's unknown where this workshop is even located. But this time around, it is definitely more of a workshop rather than a house. The next appearance of one of Tails' workshops comes in the form of a movie, the Sonic OVA to be precise. In the movie, Sonic lives in the wreckage of a plane crash, and for some reason the USS Enterprise, as well as a few other things. But more importantly, inside of all the wreckage is a workshop that Tails uses in the movie. The first appearance of Tails is actually him testing out his latest bodyboard that he built in the workshop, so no Sea Fox or Lunar Fox this time around. This is the first time we see one of Tails' workshops outside of the games, but there will still be plenty more to come. But before we get to those, we have to talk about Sonic Adventure. Tails' workshop in Sonic Adventure is one of the most well-known ones, since you visit it pretty early on in the game, and come back to it again later when Tails finishes the Tornado 2. This workshop is a pretty small one, featuring a hangar for the Tornado and a second story on top, which I assume is either a living area for Tails or just another part of the workshop, but there's also an underground tunnel, which Tails uses to launch the Tornado 2 from, which still counts as part of his workshop. This workshop has one of the more recognizable designs, featuring an orange color scheme, and the hangar doors on both the main workshop and the underground tunnel both have his signature Tails on them. This workshop is located in the Mystic Ruins, and is pretty close to Angel Island when it fell out of the air in Sonic Adventure. In Sonic Battle, Tails has a house near the middle of Emerald Town, and also a separate lab which is further south. Tails' house this time around has a very interesting appearance, literally just being a giant house of his head, with windows on the eyes, and the door being the mouth. Tails' lab is a more industrial looking lab, rather than a classic hangar, and is also a stage in the game where some fights take place. From the outside, you can see a satellite dish and his signature logo on the side of the lab. The inside of the lab is just a square arena, with some yellow pillars at the top and bottom. Tails' lab in Sonic Battle would probably be where his workshop is, but since he also has a house in the center of town, I wouldn't put it past him also having a work area in there too. And since the Tornado isn't in Sonic Battle, this workshop is a lot more lab-like in appearance, which is actually pretty obvious since it's literally titled Tails' Lab in-game. Sonic X features the next appearance of Tails' workshop, which is the second time it's been seen outside of the games. Tails first made his workshop in the Mystic Ruins during the anime's adaptation of Sonic Adventure, but it was later seen in Sonic's World 2. This workshop design is personally one of my favorites, since it's just so different and strange looking. The workshop is made up of multiple different white dome-shaped rooms stacked on top of each other, with each one having its floor on a different level of the terrain. It also has some brown, I'm assuming windows, since the bottom level is fully closed up with some green shutters. So yeah, a neat design in my opinion, definitely not like any of the other workshops that I've gone over so far, but one that I still like. And spoilers for the end of Sonic X, but Tails also puts Cosmo's Seed in his workshop at the end, which was a nice little touch. Getting back to the games, we now have Tails' workshop in Sonic Rush, which is located next to Water Palace Zone in Sonic Story. This workshop has one of the more brief appearances in a Sonic game, only being in a single cutscene that you access after beating Water Palace Zone. The outside of the workshop is nearly identical to the one seen in Sonic Adventure, and if it were in full 3D, it probably would be. This workshop is one of the less notable ones, since it's the same as an old one, and only appears very briefly. Moving on to a workshop that is a lot more notable, it's Tails' workshop from Sonic Chronicles. This workshop is smaller than most others, being a tall square building with a balcony. It bears resemblance to the Sonic Adventure and Sonic the Fighter's designs, but also has its own touches that set it apart from them. The workshop has a classic Sonic looking emblem on top of it, as well as a hangar door for the tornado. The workshop in this game is actually located in Central City, no, not that Central City, this one, and it serves as the first stronghold for the team in the first 4 chapters of the game. The workshop acts like a normal rest point in any other RPG game, where you can replenish your health and POW points, as well as change party members, which makes this one a lot more useful than other ones in the series, although it is abandoned once you get to Chapter 5. Now we move on to the first appearance of one of Tails' workshops in the comics. This time it's his workshop in the Archie Comics, which is actually very similar to his very first workshop in Tails' Adventure, and it's even in the same place on Coco Island. It has the same log cabin look to it as it did in Tails' Adventure, and since it's on the same island, I assume the comics just used the same design from Tails' Adventure for that reason. Various different events take place in Tails' workshop in the Archie Comics, but I don't really want to go into detail about all of those in this video. All you gotta know is that Tails does indeed have a workshop in the Archie Comics. And now, the next appearance of Tails' lab is slightly strange since it's in Sonic Lost World, but it's not actually in the main Wii U version, only in the 3DS version. This one is located near Windy Hill on the map, and it serves as the player's settings menu, as well as a gallery to rewatch cutscenes or listen to music. You can also select the multiplayer modes here, so this workshop is mainly just a menu for all the different things to do outside of the main game. The workshop can also be upgraded, and can be used to make RC vehicles, and once the workshop reaches level 3, you can send over the RC vehicles to the Wii U version of Lost World, and actually use them in that game. This workshop has a pretty plain design, but it still looks like a typical Tails workshop with a hangar door and some windows. The next location Tails' workshop appears in is actually in the spin-off series, Sonic Boom. Sonic Boom features a few different versions of Tails' workshop, and most of them are pretty similar. In the Sonic Boom TV show, Tails' workshop has a big hangar design, similar to the one in Sonic the Fighters, and many others, but it's also made out of wood like Tails' log cabin on Coco Island is. The one in the TV show is located on Seaside Island, and has many different appearances throughout the show where the characters do various different things in it. Tails also has a workshop in Sonic Boom Shattered Crystal and Sonic Boom Fire and Ice, in which the player can make various different items within them. Tails' workshop in the Boom series feels like a combination of all his previous workshops, with its big hangar-like design and room for more experimenting as well. Next up is a mini version of Tails' workshop seen in the Sonic DLC for LEGO Dimensions. This workshop is a smaller version of the one seen in Sonic the Fighters, with its giant hangar doors and yellow roof. This one also features the same Tails logo as the one in Sonic the Fighters does, rather than the other Tails logo seen on other workshops, like the one in Sonic Adventure. Now for the second comic appearance of Tails' workshop, this time in the IDW Comics, which is actually the exact same lab/house that Tails had in Sonic Battle, featuring his giant head with windows for eyes and a door for a mouth. This workshop is also located in Emerald Town, just like it was in Sonic Battle, and is pretty much just the exact workshop from that game. As is with similar workshops in more long-running series, like Sonic Boom or the Archie Comics, this lab has gotten a lot of use throughout the IDW Comics. This workshop is probably the most creative one, since it really is just a giant Tails head, but I think it's pretty funny that Tails even got the idea to do that in the first place. So this, alongside the one in Sonic Battle, are some of my favorite Tails workshops. The second to last appearance of Tails' workshop is from yet another spin-off game, this time being Sonic Speed Simulator on Roblox. The workshop in Sonic Speed Sim is nearly identical to the one in Sonic the Fighters, and the mini LEGO version in LEGO Dimensions. It has the yellow roof and big hangar doors, although this time around it houses the tornado, and the same Tails logo as those other two. This workshop is located in the Green Hill world of the game, and various different events have utilized it so far. I think that this particular workshop design, alongside the one from Sonic Adventure, seem to be the two most popular designs of Tails' workshop, so I think if I had to pick a definitive Tails workshop design, it'd probably be either of these two. And now for the final appearance of Tails' workshop so far, we have his workshop in the Netflix TV show, Sonic Prime. This workshop is in Green Hill, as most things are in Sonic Prime, and I've said this about a few other workshop designs, but I think this one might be my personal favorite design of them all. This one incorporates all of the best elements of Tails' workshops, having a hangar for the tornado, an actual living area for Tails, being made out of mostly wood, and just having a generally cool design overall. Very workshop-y vibes. This one doesn't appear very much in Sonic Prime, but it does have a few scenes where we can see the inside of it as well. So that's all of Tails' workshops in the Sonic series. Well, I guess you can also count the one that appears in Tails Tube as well, but all we really get to see of that one is the inside. So which workshop was your personal favorite? Leave a comment below and let me know. I really like the one in Sonic X, as well as the one in Sonic Prime. I guess the Sonic shows just have good looking workshops for Tails, huh? But I'm sure we have yet to see the last of Tails' many different workshops in the Sonic series. He must have a ton of money if he keeps getting new workshops for each game. Maybe all of Sonic's rings at the end of an adventure go towards buying a new workshop for Tails. Yeah, that's my headcanon now. Thanks for watching until the end. I hope you enjoyed learning about Tails' workshops. I made this video because I realized this week that Tails had a ton of different workshops in every game, so I wanted to find out how many there actually were, and there are definitely a lot. Feel free to drop a like, and maybe even hit the subscribe button as well, and I'll see you next time.